Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to all this morning. I'm your host Hajra Satti and it's a fine Tuesday morning in Islamabad. Today happens to be 14th of May and today is a death anniversary of one of the legendary figures of PTV who happens to be Mr. Farooq Qaiser Saab. This is the third death anniversary that we are observing of this great legend. He was born in 31st October 1945 in Sialkot, and Farooq Qaiser Saab made a name for himself. He graduated from the NCA Lahore. He was a cartoonist, he was an author, he was a journalist, scriptwriter, producer, director, and also a very famous TV personality, of course. And who is not aware of his multiple feathers in his cap, because he also studied puppetry at the University of the Bucharest in Romania, and he's famous for promoting children's literature and making shows on a light-hearted topic, and he was master of making sure that there's a political satire and how the problems of the societies were being highlighted. And this is the legend of Uncle Sargam, and also known as Farooq Qaiser Saab. And he made sure that he revived the dying art of the puppetry, because this is one of the art forms, folklore art forms of Pakistan, or particularly the South Asian or subcontinent's culture, which was present here. But in order to have a more understanding and in-depth understanding of Farooq Qaiser, we have a visual representation of that. So why not we go and look at a report which was made by our team.
Be a puppeteer, not a puppet, was Farooq Qaiser's advice to future puppeteers. 40 years of puppeteering honored him with Pride of Performance, Lifetime Achievement Award, and PTV's Silver Jubilee Award, besides many other national and international titles. Farooq Qaiser was famous for highlighting various social issues with his iconic character Uncle Sargam. The legendary character was first showcased in 1976 in children's program Kalyan. Farooq Qaiser had been associated with PTV since 1976. Qaiser's portrayal of Uncle Sargam, a puppet character he created and also lent his voice to, became hugely popular in Pakistan and remained a household name for decades. The artist was born on 13th of October 1945 in Sialkot. He traveled to different cities of Pakistan and completed his educational journey in different cities. He completed his matriculation from Peshawar, FA from Quetta, and graduated from National College of Arts, Lahore. He did his masters from Romania and completed masters in mass communication from California, USA in 1999. Farooq Qaiser started his career after graduating from National College of Arts in the early 70s. He was an artist, journalist, TV show director, puppeteer, and screenwriter. He was also known for his comic books. His duo with another character on the show, Masi Musibate, achieved legendary status over the years. Along with Kalyan, Putli Tamasha and Sargam Time were Qaiser's most loved TV shows. He was awarded the Presidential Pride of Performance Award in 1993 for his craft. Earlier this year, he was awarded the Sitara Imtiaz during a ceremony at Iwan-e-Sadr on Pakistan Day.
And this was the legend of Farooq Qaiser Saab, and like the report mentioned, he studied the puppetry, and this was the best thing. So Farooq Qaiser Saab was not just a columnist, a producer, a TV personality, a script writer, but he was a university in himself, because when we talk about the puppetry, he was the fundamental personality when it comes to the PTV, which he popularized this particular art, especially on the popular medium, on the popular discourses. And he was not just an ordinary personality, because he studied the puppetry, and I think this is one of the best thing. And his program Kalyan, of course, who is not familiar with that program, we grew up watching and hearing the legends of Farooq Qaiser Saab, but in order to listen more to him as a personality, as a father, and what was he apart from being a personality on the TV behind the lens, we are very glad that we have been joined by his daughter, who is going to pay a tremendous tribute to her father. She happens to be Shane Farooq. Assalamu alaikum, madam.
Ji, walaikum assalam. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Shane Farooq Saiba, so we've all heard about the Kaliyan, we've all known the legends of Farooq Qaiser Saab, but we want to explore his personality that apart from being in front of the camera, being in front of the lens and behind the lens, what sort of father figure was he? And we want to explore his early childhood and how he came into the TV, so please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just hope I don't get emotional while talking about him. It's a very hard day for us. We still, cannot fathom the fact that he's not with us anymore. But he was, in my words, he was ishq of my life. I would say not just because he was my father, but I think me and my siblings, we were his biggest fans because the person he was just an amazing human being in all the ways he can be. By all means, he was just an amazing personality. But when he had like sargam in his hand, he was a different personality. So I used to tell him that instead of me and my brother and my sister, your puppets are your real children, because every puppet he gave a character that I think he wanted to see in his child, or how he wanted it to act and all. So I always told him that your actual kids are your puppets that you created, and he entirely loved them. And but as a father, he was just we were just in an awe all our lives. Whatever he said to us, whenever he spoke to us, we would just listen to him because we were like such a big fan of him. His everything he said, because he always said things from heart. He was a very true person. He didn't have any kind of diplomacy in him, so he was a very, very true to heart person. So whatever he said, it was always so true and so wise that we just wanted to, hear him more and more all the time. And he was very gentle, and I was the youngest of all, so I got to spend, most time with him, and I did some programs with him. And while I was in Pakistan, I was assisting him in every way I could, just to be around him and be with him, even though he was my father. But I just felt that I couldn't get enough of him. He was such a great person.
Right, and since we've known him as someone who has promoted diligently the children's literature, the art of the puppetry, how came he develop this particular fondness for delving into this particular field? Because when you have to target the younger audiences, or when we talk about the children, it's a very difficult task because you have to go to their level and explain the things to them, and not just that. So it was not popular amongst the children. It was also popular amongst the all sort of audiences, because there were, puns in it, there was satire in it. So please do explain his journey, that how he was able to delve into, and that so nicely, into this particular field of the puppetry.
Yeah, I think that's because he was a very observant person. He had a different kind of observation, and he was the biggest believer that the young generation, the children, they always have more intellect and intelligence than, because when you grow up, you know when to say things and when not to say, but children are natural. So he always used to tell me that my daughter, who was like, really young at that time, he used to tell me that I learned from her. Seeing her in school and things that she's doing now, I learned from her. So he was always like, that's why I think he was relevant till the time, till these times, because he was growing with kids, and he was learning everything that that was coming in the life, I would say, with either it was technology or anything else. He was very up to date in everything, and he was very fond of learning. He never stopped learning. The last conversation I had with him, like a longer conversation, he was watching some astrological documentary, and he was telling me how much research has been done on this subject. And he told me that I feel like I haven't done anything in life. And I was shocked and surprised to, hear him say that if he hadn't done anything, he thought, then, I don't know where we stand. So that's kind of a person he was. He always thought that getting his point to children would be much easier and much better, because he thought that children are the future, and if you make them learn something, it will always benefit the society in longer run. So that was his biggest thing, that he believed in children and youth and in younger generation, that they can bring a change, and because they have the wider mental capacity. So he always thought that they can do better than the previous generations, because our previous generation, especially in our countries, they have like different mindsets. But he always thought that talking to younger generation, it was much easier for him. So that's why he always came to our levels whenever, because of course like we are three siblings and everybody was different temperaments and everything. But he could talk to all of us in a very similar manner, because he knew that how to talk, and then he taught for so many years. And he every student that I have came across, they said that nobody has taught the way he used to teach, because he was very gentle, and he was not like, if I'm doing it like this, then that's the right way to do it. He was very welcoming to the idea of what's in your mind, how is your perception, what's your perception. He was very open to that. So I think that made him a very good teacher in every way. So yeah, that was it. Yeah.
We've also seen particularly that when we talk about the golden age of the PTV, so our programs were so much popular, and the fame of those programs reached to greater heights. So it was not just they were not popular in this South Asian continent, but their fame spread to as far as the societies which were not very geographical proximate, like societies of South America, because they're very far away, right? And this is, we see the fame of Uncle Sargam, we see the fame of Kaliyan. But when we talk about the children's program, yes, PTV catered to that particular niche or particular target audience, right? But nowadays we just see that there's a dearth of good children programming, particularly in our country, right? I don't find a very good sort of a role models that our children can see when they talk about the cartoon characters, when they talk about the children's literature. So how will you comment about the void that has been left because of the absence of the Uncle Sargam or the Farooq Qaiser Saab? And I mean, you are his progeny, so do you have the plans, or were you ever interested in pursuing the same line as your father did?
Trust me, yes, the void has been there even when he was around. The void was there because he was, I just say that even as a children or as a audience, I would say we didn't get to know or learn as much as we could, because he was a river of knowledge in just so many ways, and he could have taught, because the medium he was using, he could have taught like in such a better way. All the he have written so many songs, and even to my surprise, it's on every topic. Sometimes even now when I listen to it, because of course when we had him, we were like are kind of distracted in life too, and now we listen to everything as a treasure. And I feel so astonished that when I hear that he has written songs on every topic there is, from environment or how, and everything is very educational. Like it's not just he used to point out a problem; he would also give a solution. So that was, I think, the void was even there when he was not used as much as his knowledge could have been used, and he was, he have tried talking to everybody, every person of that caliber who could have worked in that manner. That we needed. He always said that we needed a puppet academy, so this art doesn't die away, or because when you have a puppet medium in your hand, you can say things that you cannot say in person. And with our and he believed that when our Pakistan was facing a lot of security issues and everything, and he believed that this is lack of arts and fine arts in our country, that people don't have those kind of hobbies and those kind of passions to follow, and they have, like, of course we have a mind, we put it somewhere, but instead of putting it into towards art and everything. And as far as we are concerned, my brother, mashallah, he's very witty and he's very talented, and he could make all the puppets and everything. But we came to US, it's been like over two decades now, and as long as I was there, I tried being his assistant, and maybe I would have followed his path. But honestly speaking, he was such a God gifted personality that we can nobody can come to his level, and we are so scared to even take his name with us, because we think that it comes with a great responsibility, that we are his children, and with people's love and respect for him, we just don't in a way want to spoil it in any way. We think that we are not worthy of his name with us, because we haven't done anything. I just hope he's proud of us for being who we are today. We try to be good humans. That was his biggest thing, that he always educated us to be a very good human at heart. So we tried that. But other than that, we just feel it's a very big responsibility when we take his name anywhere. So, it's just that, and we wish that anybody who would, follow his puppetry or his style of satire, I just wish that, people take up on that, and they learn from his previous writings. And, if you pick up his programs from 90s, you would still think that, because the affairs haven't changed in our country, so it's still current affairs for it. So you can still, those programs can still run as long as you
And
want.
that's very true. And I think we at the PTV need to think about capturing that nostalgia market, because there's such a plenty of the content out there. One last question before we wrap up our segment, which is about, we want to really explore the personality of your father. So what sort of a person was he? And do you want to share any childhood memory that inspired you? And you also talked about, that sometimes, there's this pressure and burden on the children of the famous personality. So have you ever felt that you were pressured to do well because your father is such a great name when we talk about in the annals of PTV? And it was not just a PTV, it was about popular discourses that he created. So please share any anecdote that inspired you from your childhood. So how much great of a personality he was.
Yes, for PTV, I would say that it was home, and PTV home is actually the home, because he started off with PTV, and today PTV is giving him tribute to, and it's that what he earned with PTV, I'm sure. But he was very, there was, no matter how many channels there are, PTV always had a different spot for him in his heart. So PTV all the way, I would say. And yeah, of course, he as a personality, he was a very shy person, very shy, but very positive person, I would say. He usually never had any. Even if he was very worried about what was happening in Pakistan, the political situation, the economic situation. But whenever he talked about it, he always was optimistic about it. He said, "No, our youth will make it better, or there will be better days." He was very optimistic person, but by nature he was very shy. During our family times or anything. But whenever he said something, it was always, it always had some value. He was like that kind of a person. And he was witty at times, when he was in, like, we had a very good time on our dinner table. That was one of our most favorite times as a family, because he was very punctual about, dinner time and lunch time. So we all had to be present at our dinner table and our lunch tables, and we enjoyed that time a lot. And other than that, he was the most gentle person that ever, I came across, and a very complete personality. He was manly in his own ways, but at the same time, he was the person I always saw propagating about women rights in our country, and how a girl, he was the biggest supporter of girl education in Pakistan. He did so many shows regarding, in rural areas where he was not even provided transport, but he would, just him and his team, they would go and, because he was very fond of women education. And in his, later years, he was teaching in Patna Jinnah University as well, and he enjoyed that time thoroughly. He just went for one semester to teach, and then it took him 10 years to get out of there. So that was just because, even that, then it was the health issues that came, in between. Otherwise, he just loved teaching, because he was like, I don't want to take the knowledge I have with me. I want to spread it as much. So he was a great believer of that. He was a teacher in I just feel like, as a daughter, every day I spent with him, every moment I spent with him, it was a learning experience for me. I'm sorry.
Right, and thank you so much for sharing so many memorable things about Farooq Qaiser Saab, and obviously his void will always be felt whenever we talk about the children programming, whenever we talk about the literature, whenever we talk about the political satire that he introduced in his programming. And his programs, his characters were so much nuanced characters. They were so multi-layered, and the way they spoke, the way they delivered the dialogues, and certainly we will always feel that void. This was Farooq Qaiser Saab, and we're really only at PTV proud of his legacy, not just at PTV. I think entire country is proud of the way he performed and took our names to such a height. And obviously, we will keep giving the tribute, but we will talk about a very important topic, very important subject, and obviously that deals with the children programming, that deals with the youth empowerment. And thank you so much, Shane Farooq, for joining us, for giving the legendary tribute to your father. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him higher ranks in Jannah. And after a short break, we are going to come back and delve into a very deeper discussion, so don't go anywhere. Good morning.
Welcome to PTV Global app, your one-stop for all things entertainment, dramas, documentaries, news, and more. When you open the app, you're immediately taken to our live stream, where you can watch your favorite shows, news, and events in real time. But that's not all. Our programs menu offers a wide range of shows, from drama and comedy to news and current affairs. You can browse through our extensive library and find something that suits your mood. And if you want to plan your viewing in advance, our program schedule has got you covered. Download the app now on App Store and Google Play and start enjoying the best of Pakistani entertainment and news.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, we were giving a tribute to our legendary figure of the PTV and the way that was felt, and then we're still feeling today when it comes to the children programmings, when it comes to the teenage programming, and now connecting our conversation to a very important topic that we are going to talk about, which is about the youth empowerment. And obviously, when we talked about the puppetry, when we talk about the children literature that empowered the young people out there, that empowered the children out there, they gave them a voice, and through them they were able to express a lot of feelings. But now when we talk about 21st century, particularly this digital era, when we explore the trends here, so we see that there's a dearth of content out there. There is a plenty of content out there, but actually the quality suffers. And how can we make sure that a young people out there who can have a better content out there, who can have a better guidance out there, and how to empower them in a manner, in a model that they retain their values, but at the same time they are modernized in this particular context. To further explore this subject and delve deeper into it, I'm very glad that we have been joined by one of a very interesting speaker. He happens to be a motivational speaker, and he's been our show on numerous times. So once again, we are very glad that we have been joined by Mr. Sabauddin Saab. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to us.
Wa alaikum salam. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Right, so you've seen that how when we talked about the golden legacy of the PTV, the golden era of the PTV, there was, the content was there, but the quality was the main character. The quality never suffered, but now we see that there's so many programs out there, but we don't see that charm, right? So how can we create a quality content for the young people out there so that they retain the values while at the same time they get modernized?
When we talk about the young people, and when we talk about the youth in this country, we normally have an idea about a segment of society, the majority segment of the society that is brimming with ideas.
True.
Radiating creativity, innovating, dreaming about new things, full of energy, but it happens under very utopic and ideal circumstances.
True.
So what we have taken out of this entire thing is education. And when I say education, it is not the formal education or the curriculum we follow. By education, I mean knowledge. And knowledge starts with teaching creativity to the children.
Right.
Now, when we were referring to earlier the programs like Uncle Sargam and the creativity, it was a whole package of creativity.
True.
He was not alone. He had a bunch of other characters with him that were creating new discussions, new ideas, conveying the message to the society. So we have taken away this creativity out of our educational and knowledge system.
True.
The second thing is innovation. We are a very scared nation. We are very scared people. We do not encourage our young ones to innovate, to dream.
Right.
And we try them that they should follow our path, our thinking patterns, our mind. And if this happens, then of course then we will have the dearth of everything. The dearth of quality content, the dearth of wisdom, the intellect and innovation.
Right.
And I think this is the only way to go forward for us in a country like ours is to let our youth be creative,
Right.
encourage them in arts, encourage them to think and dream and create whatever they want to create.
Right. But when we talk about, thank you so much for pointing, so many important points, and you talked about the creativity. And I think one of the challenges, and at the same time it's an opportunity that we talk about in this particular digital era, in this 21st century, is the role of social media. And we've seen that there's so many over deluge of the information that is coming, right? And there are no filters on it, right? And if there are filters, so young people know a lot of other ways to access it, right? So how can we protect our younger people, our younger generation, so that they're more adept at having a more value-based system? Because nowadays you generally feel that those values are eroding, and then the generally degradation that we are witnessing, right? And that is because of the barrage of the information that is coming, which is also very confusing in one aspect, right? So how do we protect our young people?
Let me pick the one word you spelled out just now. There is access. The access doesn't mean that we opened a barrage of information and knowledge on the children.
True, true.
The access means an opportunity for them to access the opportunity
Right.
to grow, to think, to equip themselves with the required skills, to earn knowledge, to gain wisdom, and to explore the ways how they can be a beneficial and functional member of society.
Right.
That access actually means. Access doesn't mean that you have a tab in your hand and a tablet in your hand and you are scrolling through 1,000 trillion terabytes or gigabytes of information on it, and which is flooding you and confusing you. We use the word ilman nafi'an,
Right.
and there is a hadith also that knowledge that is useful. So we have to guide our young ones toward the useful knowledge. Now, a type of knowledge that where the smallest frog in the world lives may not be relevant to me,
Right.
but it may be relevant to some scientist. So what relates to me, what I should know, we should be guiding our people, our young ones, towards that ilman nafi'an, the knowledge that is benefiting, that is rewarding. Rest, we need to filter it, we need to cut this out. And I am very much in favor of cutting off things, censoring the content, particularly for the younger ones, so that their minds are not damaged, their minds are not confused.
Right.
We need to steer them at least to a point where they are functional themselves, where they are able to create. And while doing so, we are encouraging them to bring them, training them at a particular point, and then asking them to, from there on, they can go further, dream further, create further, innovate further.
Right. But as a parent, this is a very challenging task nowadays, raising up your kids, and that they should be shrouded in our value-based system, right? And like we mentioned, so there are so many challenges which we've surrounded, especially in this society, when we talk about the deluge of the information which is coming, this bombardment of information, and there's so many multiple ways of accessing them, and young people are very pro at accessing all of this information. So according to your own opinion, what are some of the challenges you think young people are facing, and how can we better equip them to deal with this modernity and to deal with this rapidly changing situation?
Everything evolves, we have to evolve, but gradually. It cannot happen at once. And I believe that the young ones need a chance to understand the circumstances and gradually grow and evolve. But when we say information, we need to find the actual information, but the information is, it is padded with misinformation and disinformation. So we need to teach our children ways how to filter the unnecessary information.
Right.
Normally we say it like cut the dead wood.
Right.
We have to be like reaching onto the actual information that is and converting that information into the usable knowledge.
Right.
That is the trick we need to teach our children.
Right.
Because a lot of information is going on and the most of it is fake. It's misinformation, it is disinformation, and purposely, deliberately spread out misinformation and disinformation. So this trick, this knowledge, this skill, we need to give it to our children to filter the things.
Right. And I think one of the important topic when we talk about young youth empowerment, so when we talk about empowerment, also we need to explore what are some of the challenges that they are facing. And I think nowadays, if you see not just in Pakistan, across the world, you will find that there are lots of mental illnesses that are across the world on the rise, right? So things like anxiety, like depression. Why do you and what do you think is going wrong with a lifestyle that is, you know, taking these illnesses or diseases that are across on the world on the rise? So, and it's not just the mental illnesses that further develops into the physical symptoms, right? Chronic fatigue and then insomnia and all of the things. So, what is wrong in our lifestyles today that we find that there is such a, you know, uptick in the rise, and especially which is gripping the young people, younger generation?
I think, Hajar, it's a very important topic. The value and the importance we give to our physical illnesses, we haven't been able to attend to our mental issues. First of all, we have to recognize that mental issues are a real issues that impede the progress of this nation, particularly development of our youth. We need to understand this. The second thing is we need to understand that the stress has become a habit for us.
Right.
Why the zebras don't get heart attacks, why the animals do not get stressed out. Stress is a natural mechanism. It is one of the defensive mechanisms that actually rushes the blood through your body, makes you able to run away from a place, you know. If a zebra is chased by a lion, the zebra is stressed. It puts all its energy into the body and it runs, but once it is away from the lion, it has calmed down. We humans, we stress and stress and stress, and it has become a habit for us, and it is costing us a lot. It is costing us our mental issues. We have to understand and teach it to the young ones that first we need to understand that this is the real issue. Mental issues should not be stigmatized. We can have a fever, we can have an infection, we can have a mental issue, and we should consult the people who know about this. It is very bad stigmatizing like that, and I think one of the important thing here is why our young ones are committing suicides.
Right.
Today, like when I say this, a lot of our young ones in the mountain areas, the suicide rate has gone up.
Right.
It's fine, the challenges are there, the frustrations are there, but what makes the people commit suicide? One of the important factor is mental issues.
Right.
And this is very demoralizing and discouraging thing. I think you have brought up a very important topic, and I think we will need another program to discuss this.
That's very true, and definitely we will continue to talk about this particular very pertinent issue. Now, let's develop this conversation on further lines when we talk about youth empowerment or younger people. So I think when you are in that particular phase, when you are transitioning from your teenage and into the early 20s, so one of the things that is very stressful, because you talked about the stress and the triggers, is the subject or the academic pressures that they're undergoing through, right? And when we talk about our parents' generation, so they have their particular ideas about, you know, what sort of field they want their younger kids to join, one that is lucrative, one that is going to uplift their lifestyles, and then they have a different sort of, ideas in their heads, and sometimes they don't synchronize well, right? And then they develop so much pressure about being a doctor or engineer or in these particular fields. So how do you think, so I think there is a need for our parents, so we can reparent them, right? And parenting is not an easy task, right? It is something that we are taught, it's very innate thing, we can do that. So do you think that there, how would you evaluate the importance of a dialogue between a younger child, between a children and a parents, so that they're better able to sort the issues out?
The biggest challenge for parents is unlearning what they have learned from their parents.
That's very difficult.
And then and then they need to engage with the children, the young ones, and understand. The first thing is the teen years. Until the time they don't cross the teen years, we have to understand they're very vulnerable.
True.
Lots of dozens of hormones rushing through their bodies, particularly our daughters. We have to understand that at this very time, their minds are not fully matured, they're growing. Their bodies are not fully biologically matured, they are evolving. and the amount of hormones they have in their body, the decision making process has gone for a 6. The parents need to understand this first. So instead of, you know, reacting to what the children are doing, they need to understand this, that the children are not themselves particularly at this stage. How to steer them, how to take them away, how to assist them actually in that situation, parents should be knowing that. But unfortunately, me myself including, you know, we react because we have a lot of burdens on our head and we think, look, I'm the provider of this house and I'm not getting a respect, you know, and my daughter is yelling at me, or my son is, you know, he's not behaving in the right way. We need to unlearn. We need to give them some allowance, you know, particularly for the years, and that is the time when they're most vulnerable. And everything starts from a household. Now, when we talk about youth of this entire society or the nation, we have to start from our house.
That's true.
How empowered our children are, how involved they are in our decisions, how they are engaged with our, how we value their opinions, you know. So as parents, I think we would be more responsible if the children, you know, they don't follow a particular pattern. Everything, I think, in this will be blamed and will be, this responsibility will be on the parents and the elders.
I think you alluded a very important concept in your conversation, and let's delve into it and let's further dissect it. You talked about the respect. So the concept of respect in Pakistani household and particularly in Asian household is very different and used to be very different in older times. So respect means that you are not able to say anything and you're not able to question whatever your parents are saying, because that was considered to be a very disrespectful thing to say, right? But when we talk about, you know, today's world, when we talk about 21st century, children are constantly asking questions, right? And the notions of respects are also constantly changing. So it's not that you, you know, you can keep them mum in the name of respect, you know, you have to answer that. So do you think that our parents' generation is well equipped with this evolving concept of the respect, and how they're better able to equip their kids with the sort of the things that they need to survive in this particular era and age?
The first thing is, respect is never taught, it is earned. The parents have to earn the respect.
True.
The second thing is, it is a very relevant like it is relative in a way that, like, we in our, I belong to the mountains in Gilgit-Baltistan, we have a tradition that the young ones approach the elder ones and kiss their hands.
That's true.
Now, whenever I meet my elder brother, I kiss his hand. There is a sign of me showing respect. And if I expect the same from my daughter or the son, that amongst his friends or, you know, the class fellows who belong to this part of the country, he will approach me and kiss my hand. It is a very difficult thing.
Right, that's true.
You know, so we have to give some allowances to them.
That's true.
But respect has to be earned. We
That's
cannot
true.
teach it.
That's very true. It has to be. And I think one of the things that is very important when we talk about parenting and when we talk about youth empowerment is that children learn through the imitation. So whatever you are doing, children are going to learn that. So your preaching might not be that much effective as what you are doing, right? So they are going to adopt those patterns, those learning patterns, and they are going to adapt that into their living styles. But also we need to explore another important aspect when we talk about youth empowerment, when we talk about the challenges that young people are facing. So we see that there is a brain drain going on in our country, and a lot of people are moving abroad in search of better living standards, in search of better jobs, and we see that. Do you feel this is an opportunity, or do you feel this is a challenge to our country and the young empowerment or youth empowerment? How do you see this trajectory going on?
Hajra, as a society, we are very good at converting our opportunities into adversities. You know, we were very lucky to have the youth bulge.
True.
The number of the ratio and proportion of the youth in this society is very encouraging. So far, it's very encouraging. But soon, if we won't be able to handle this, it's going to become a threat for us.
True.
It's going to become a very bigger internal security challenge for us. Right at this very time, the number of people who have access to the quality knowledge, which trains them in creativity, innovation, or equips them with the relevant skill, is very less. So the majority remains denied of the opportunities. Those who are able to access such opportunities, only 3.6 to 8% of those get proper employments in this country. So for us is an option that we explore the global opportunities and equip these boys as per their own skill set they have, or they want to earn that skill set, or their own capacity and capabilities. We have to train them for the global opportunities. We do not live in isolation now. We live in a global village.
True, true.
A person has to be the global citizen or the universal citizen. These two terms were coined by His Highness Aga Khan. That you have to, you wish to be a global citizen or you wish to be a universal citizen. You have to now, you cannot remain in isolation now.
True.
If you want to be a global citizen, you have to train yourself like that. If you want to be a universal citizen. So I think what we lack is we have left everything on the government.
Right, right.
The government is not doing this, the government is not doing that. We have forgotten that as a civil society, it's our responsibility to rear our children, to groom our children. Where are the civil societies? Where is the development sector? Where is these big corporate giants with the millions of their CSR funds? They have to come forward and contribute towards this youth empowerment along with the government.
That's true.
So that everyone has to team up. It is the society's responsibility. So that's my take on this.
Right, and I think one of the things that you subtly said in your conversation, and that is very important to further explore it, is how when we talk about social media, how when we talk about the digital century or the content that is being produced in the digital era, so we generally see when we talk about the changing value system, so we see that there is like intolerance which is on the rise, so we see that there is a very strong polarization, fragmentation, and people are not ready to accept others people's point of view, and particularly we see this rising trend among the young people. So there is this tendency on the social media, because the algorithms are highly personalized, they will show you content which you want to see, right? And there is an English proverb that birds of feather flock together, right? So that is going to show you content which you want to see, and which you don't want to see, it's not going to show you, right? So the sort of echo chambers that are created on the social media, how can we deal with this personality? How can we instill more tolerance in a younger people? So we are familiar with the term that, you know, we agree to disagree with you, right, which is sort of a more tolerant expression of the disagreement. But when we see its manifestation in a practical life, we don't witness that, unfortunately. So how can we curb this rising trend of intolerance in our society and among the younger people?
I think the solution for intolerance lies in valuing the diversity.
Right.
And accepting that a pluralistic society flourishes and progresses more.
True.
And the tolerance is like, I myself do not like this word tolerance, because it indicates towards a word that you have to bear through something that you do not want. Actually, we should be using different words like harmony, diversity, pluralism, you know, coming together collectively. And we need to do a lot in this, because the social media, not only the social media is responsible, our mosques, our member is responsible.
That's true.
The society as a whole is responsible for that. The family unit is responsible for that. Till the time, as a father, if I don't allow my kids to interact with the people from other castes, creed, sects, faiths, and I don't make them understand the value of each human being, I think this challenge we are going to have it. This is a big challenge for us.
This is a big challenge, and this is the issue that we have to tackle, and I'm glad that we're having discussion on this particular topic, because discussion yields the result. And thank you so much for coming to our show, for shedding light on the youth empowerment, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and how can we make our younger people more productive citizens of Pakistan, because when we talk about the percentage of the younger population in Pakistan, it's more than 60%. So either is it a demographic gift or it is a ticking bomb. We are going to see what is going to happen, and we have to invest on our younger people so as to make them a better and a more responsible citizen that contributes towards the development of a country. With that, I will bid you farewell. Until next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning. Thank you.